about New Nollywood, or also known as the New Nigerian Cinema. Well, unlike the first and second wave, the second wave emerged sort of not independent, but it sort of emerged naturally, organically, due to the increased use of VHS and CDs and DVDs later on. This wave is rather in response to the second wave, to the wave of home videos, because people saw the disadvantages and saw the declining status of the second wave and thought, how do we respond to this? How do we address the issues of the second wave? How can we make this medium better? How can we change Nollywood? It was seen like there was a time where people were no longer watching Nollywood. Obviously, Nollywood had a very bad reputation. They were churning out part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of just most basic storylines. I mean, we had lost that magic. So, enter New Nigerian Cinema. I don't even know why it's called New Nigerian Cinema, except that's what Wikipedia told me. But really, I would prefer it to be called New Nollywood, because not only, yes, cinema plays a big deal, but these movies were also these new movies were also being played on television sets and also DVDs, even though to a lesser extent. So what distinguishes this wave from the second wave? First of all, more theatrical releases. I mean, movies that were released for the theater. And this started in 2004 when Silverbird Group attempted an experiment where they started, first of all, bought up cinemas in affluent areas, but also wanted to show some local content. And at first, it was mostly Yoruba movies, because turns out Nollywood did have a bad reputation. No one wanted to pay their hard-earned money, and of course, paying money for the theater, for the cinema, was a lot of money. So no one was gonna pay God knows how much naira for something that you just see Rita Dominic and Ogo Okoye fight, and that would be the end of it. No one was going to do that.
I'd still watch that film now.
But would you pay money and go to the cinema for it?
No, YouTube.
So I think that meant that for people to actually go out and see these movies, things had to change. That means the themes had to change, the budgets had to change, the production. When there's more money to be made, it needs more things. And as theaters move to less affluent areas, so it's not only Victoria Island, there were other places that needed cinema too. But as theaters move to other affluent areas, so the idea of a Nigerian Nollywood cinematic release became more and more popular.
Okay, now just to go back to what you said, that if you have to make more widely
more effort, more money.
More effort needs more money. So in 2006 there was something called Project Nollywood. So that was a initiative, I guess, by the Nigerian government. So
I guess that was in a response to the idea of the second wave, where they were like, Nigerian government is not helping us at all. There's no structure being provided by Nollywood. There's provided to Nollywood. There's no injection of funds. There's if you think about the first wave, there were actually national initiatives, money being injected into the industry to increase showing these films. So I guess it happened again.
Yeah. So it was by the Nigerian government, like you said, and EcoBank. So they put 100 million naira to produce high quality films, and from that budget, they say that these quite notable films, I don't know if these would be the films that you would say define New Nollywood, or but define Nollywood. They were the start of good Nollywood films. So you have
they were the start of good Nollywood films.
They were the start of more notable Nollywood films. So you have, I mean, in the first wave, I think in the second wave, you have directors like Chico Ejiro. He had a movie, 100 Days in the Jungle. You had Fred Amata, like she mentioned Fred Amata as well. That Letters to a Stranger. Apparently, Marianne knows Letters to a Stranger.
Damn! When that film came out, we were hyped.
Is it press school?
Yes, we were because I saw, and I think here's a thing that I would put under the new Nollywood categories. In that, the trailers were different. As in, they were actually trailers. They were not like, oh, see this man, oh, he can't get heart attack, oh, he gets to wife, oh.
I want to watch that film. Like, what happened after his heart attack? Like, I need to know.
No, but they were actually properly cut trailers that were showing, oh, these people had a lot of sense. They put a lot of sense. And I actually do remember Letters to the Story. Oh my God, I used to die for Fred Amata and Genevieve. And it was so technologically advanced because do you remember it?
No.
It was basically, I don't know why it was called Letters to a Stranger when they were leaving each other voicemails.
Voicemails are letters.
But they're voice letters.
Yes, Miriam.
It was the wrong caller, and then romance started.
As you do.
But it was not like anything we had seen before. It wasn't it was calculated. There was cinematography. It was, I think was it color graded? I don't know, but it looked different. I remember it looking very different.
So yeah, so this project, so that's, I feel like that what Marianne is saying is sort of like the point of the project. These are meant to be good. These are meant to be good films. They weren't the nonsense. Someone down the road can just film a film and distribute it, and that's not the that wasn't the point of it. And then you have that this project also funded EcoBank as well. Further funded a multi-million distribution network. So there was a complaint before about how there wasn't like a good enough infrastructure for distribution of movies. This was the start of going in the right direction, really. And then in 2010, which I think this is sort of where I would put new Nollywood, in like the 2010s.
But that doesn't mean they didn't stop making those Akara movies.
Wow. True. They still make them now. But I think
we'll have a discussion as to whether those movies are still old Nollywood or if they're a new wave.
So it's like what it means to be new and old Nollywood. Well, actually, that's a good enough topic. So in 2010, which I would describe as this is new Nollywood. You had the president at the time, President Goodluck Jonathan, the Bank of Industry and Nexim Bank. They put together it was called the Creative and Entertainment Industry Intervention Fund. So this
they had to intervene. They were like, Nollywood, man,
you need help. And what this fund or this initiative went towards was things that were actually, like I said, this is new Nollywood. It went to things like training, where you are targeting the issues that they had of the past, of where anyone can show up on set and do anything that they want to do.
Just get a camera and point.
Exactly. They're looking at funding. They're looking at infrastructure. With one of the first films that they say came from this fund was a film called Dr. Bello. Do you know?
Yes, I remember
Toni,
Dr. Bello.
Yeah, by Toni Abulu. So that was a notable film.
Oh my God, that was intense. You know what about that movie? It was set in the north. And one thing I realized was that Stephanie Okereke, my favorite actress, was actually in a lot of these new Nollywood movies. Like,
I think she produced some of them.
She produced
as well.
a lot of new Nollywood movies, even through The Looking Glass. She produced. Oh, I was so hyped about that one too. What was I saying?
You interrupted. Another thing. So there was funding. So you have the Dr. Bella that she was talking about. You actually had funding towards the infrastructure, towards the distribution side. So one of the bigger sort of distribution networks that was credited to this fund is a company called Filmhouse Cinema. And they've got cinemas in all the big sort of hubs of Nigeria. They have one in Lagos, in Abuja, in Asaba, and in Calabar, which I think are the big Nollywood sort of sites.
Areas.
Yeah. And it's So you have places like like she mentioned, Silverbird Cinema, that was attributed. That's the word I was looking for. That was attributed to this fund as well. You had Ozone Cinemas, Viva Cinemas, G Media. These are actual distribution. This is part of the distribution structure for Nollywood, whereas we didn't have that before.
I guess that's why it's called the New Nigerian
Cinema, because cinema was the place where these films are being shown. These are the places where it's being distributed to try and cut out the 90% piracy that we saw in old Nollywood or second generation Nollywood. And then you also had in 2015 to, I think, further refine New Nollywood, you had something called Nolly Fund by the Bank of Industry, where the films, it had a advisory group, and this group is screening the films that you are producing to make sure they are commercially viable.
Oh, damn.
Which I think explains why you are seeing a different theme. You are seeing different themes of films in New Nollywood, because this is actually going through a process of, okay, this is a good film, but it's not commercially viable. People are not going to watch it. We're not going to produce it. You had people in the advisory group. You had actual film experts. You had critics. You had producers. And you had experts in distributors. These are people that know how to make films. They know how to sell films. They know how to buy films. I guess they know films. That's what they do. And so they are making these people will go through the scripts that are submitted to I think you have to submit to the fund, and they will go through it, they will appraise it, and they will make recommendations, and if you want, you can make changes before approval of approval for funding. So that is how you are getting these higher quality films. You are getting different themes in these films, because if your film isn't up to scratch,
they ain't gonna sell it.
They're not going to produce it. So you can have a script that was, the word isn't popular, but that I have watched in old Nollywood or in second generation Nollywood that will not make the cut in New Nollywood. So it's a different type of film. So there are more processes that these films have to go through. They are going through a Hollywood type style of approval.
Well, some are.
But
before we go to those ones, before we're talking about YouTube films, which we have talked about, let's talk about the notable films of New Nollywood, and that's from the beginning. Obviously now there's so many to name, but we still have ones that smashed the box office records. Come on, we've got Anything That Desire Tommy's attached to. No, but true. We've got, Wedding Party that came on and like blew our minds. Well, we've got the Amstel Malt box office, and that was giving us films like Sitanda. Oh my god, Sitanda. Stephen Kirk was also in that one. There was Sitanda. There was okay, Antonia's googling it right now. I can't believe she can't remember it. It was really good. I don't
remember films.
There was White Waters. I think we've mentioned White Waters before on the podcast, because if he mentioned it as his favorite film, you can mention it as his favorite film. And then
it's got my favorite guy in it. I love that guy.
Ali Nuhu.
That one. That guy
one of the main actors from Kannywood, which you somehow don't know exists.
That man is my babes.
Okay. Then we've got The Figurine by Kunle Afolayan in 2009, and it's on Netflix.
I think it's on Netflix as well. Yeah.
Lots of new Nollywood movies are on Netflix, and we're going to move on to talk about online distribution, and that in itself gives new Nollywood a different type of vibe, a different kind of feeling from the second wave. So we've got The Figurine, we've got Ije. Oh my god, Ije hyped me up so much. It was Genevieve and Motola. I think we're hyped up when they went overseas to film. But those days, second wave, if they say they're going to abroad, they're just going to sometimes they are just going to some nice, well-looking area in Nigeria, and they have not even left their city. But so we have like all these films, The Flower Girl. These are all either on Iroko or on Netflix, or sometimes on YouTube.
I think there's some on Prime as well.
Yeah, I know there are definitely lots of the gold treasure on Prime is really good. You know what? Let's segue and talk into online distribution. As we just said, we've got so many on Netflix. We've got them on Prime. We've got them on YouTube. We've got them on Iroko. I think we keep saying Iroko, but Iroko is an online distribution platform. And I think even before Netflix had YouTube, Netflix had Nigerian movie. It was our own personal Netflix. It really elevated the third wave of cinema. It really made it, because it was available online, all you had to do was just pay your subscription. And sometimes
at some point, there was a point where you didn't even have to pay
it was free. I think that also led to the increase of the influence that Nollywood has now. So we have the Irokos of the world and Netflixes, and you can find all these building blocks of new Nollywood on there. Let's talk about the notable actors. Now, for the actors, as for notable actors, we have most of the second generation of actors being the leaders of...
I think that they were the leaders of new Nollywood.
What?
So they're the people that you will see in films at the start of New Nollywood, because those were the people that were in the industry.
I mean,
whereas you might say, oh, Mercy Johnson was part of second generation.
Yeah.
But then at the start of what you describe as third generation, you'd still see
Mercy Johnson. But was Mercy Johnson at the start of New Nollywood?
I think it depends on where you put.
I think we've put it about 2008. But then that's the issue with New Nollywood though. YouTube Nollywood, is it still New Nollywood? And for those that don't know, YouTube Nollywood are just the movies that you find on YouTube. Now, I think those are the movies that have removed all the barriers that New Nollywood placed on itself. The need for it to be commercially viable.
True.
The need for it to be, for the crew members to be trained.
True.
The need for it to be elevating Nollywood in some way. These are just movies that...
These are movies that exist in the time of New Nollywood, I guess.
That old Nollywood? That second wave.
So. That second wave Nollywood. But then what I was saying to Marianne is the distinction with New Nollywood and old Nollywood and second generation and third generation is less to do with the actors, to do with the actresses, to do with the time, and it's more to do with the quality and to do with the themes that you're seeing in these films. So a film that was released, I guess, in 2008, you might not see those themes in a film that was released in 2015.
You would, but you would see them on YouTube.
But you wouldn't see them on a big screen. They wouldn't make it. So like that fund we were talking about, where it has to go through a process before it's approved for a big screen, such as Filmhouse Cinema, you won't find those films there because it has the same old themes.
So would you then make a distinction? Is that new old Nollywood?
No.
Is that still old Nollywood?
I think it goes back to the point by Aunt Evelyn of you shouldn't make a distinction between old and new Nollywood.
Obviously, it's not that clear cut.
It's not clear cut. Everything is Nollywood, but you still, I feel like you still have to say that this film would not have been made in 2015, but then would have been made in 2008. But then at the same time, a lot of the films that you find that are being produced now wouldn't have been produced back then because probably no one will watch them. They're not. Okay, it seems sad to say they're not interesting, but they're not...
Oh, they're very interesting.
They're not within the themes that were popular at the time.
That's true.
You will find technically you have like the black magic stuff, but it's done in a different way. So
yeah,
like
it's
the film that came out recently with Ramsey Noah that was like a part 2 or something of... Living in Bondage. Sure. It's the same theme, but it's new Nollywood because it has been done in a completely different way. But then Living in Bondage might not have happened if that script came across someone's desk now.
So is it that our current dissatisfactions, they're not making the films of old? Do we still want those themes? Do we still want those genres?
Yes-ish.
Or is it just nostalgia?
I think because it's nostalgia.
Let's be honest. Watching some of those old films, you're like, what the
hell?
Is this? What?
And then some of them are so long that one of my I don't want to call it a goal for this year is to sit through this film called Moment of Truth. I want to sit through that film with Chama Chukwuka and Mike Ezerie. I want to sit through that whole film and see what it's about, because I love that film, but then maybe I'm remembering a completely different film than what it actually was. But I think, yeah, it is, a lot of it is nostalgia. I want to see a film made today with the same sort of
storyline,
with the
so
same
some of the
storylines, but
are
made
still as good.
Yeah, but made with the technology that we have now.
Oh, so you want to have your cake and eat it?
Yes, that's the way it feels for everything. So everything is being remade now. And
yes, we have Rattlesnake, we have Neka the Pretty Serpent. Looking forward to those ones.
You have things are being remade now, but then I want to feel the same way I felt as when I watched that original film.
Oh.
And I don't know if it speaks the same way in New Nollywood. But then again, it's nostalgia. I want to see a crackly screen with that one that's wearing bell bottoms and bottoms and a dress with sandals and I don't afro. Oh.
I don't want to see this.
I don't want to see it, but I want to see it though.
So let's just conclude that
New Nollywood isn't a time. It's a type of film.
Okay, yeah. So the ones in YouTube, they're New Nollywood, but they're not really New Nollywood.
They're not really New Nollywood. They're still in that old...
It's still Nollywood. It's still in Nigeria. So we still have issues. One of the biggest issues, and I think Oge, when we were talking about Nollywood Review, me and Oge, we said this, or like, you would see a trailer for a movie, and you have to wait 3 to 4 years to see it.
I feel that way. There's this film with Bisola, the one where they were like singers or performers. I've only ever seen the trailer to that film.
Yeah.
I have never seen anywhere that film has been made or produced or distributed.
That's because there are no online distribution factors for it. Not only are there no online distribution factors, they haven't released it on DVD, so no one has had the chance to pirate it. Otherwise you see it. So there's often a long time from cinema to DVD, which of course isn't healthy for the industry because people tend to forget. And then we run into the biggest thing ever, which is copyrights. Piracy is still an issue. Copyright violations, even though let me tell you how many organizations have been set up to address piracy. You have the National Film and Video Censorship Board, you have the Nigerian Copyright Commission, you have the Audiovisual Rights Society. That's just three different bodies set up to challenge piracy in Nigeria, and yet it is still an issue. You can still Kunle put up a post of someone selling his movie that he had literally just released to the cinema. And it is still happening. So piracy is still a big issue, and it's still a big barrier to the industry. But what can we say? We love all 3 waves of the industry. We appreciated that one leads into another, and what we wish Nollywood continues to prosper and grow.
I think it will. I feel like each wave has tried to improve on the last one.
This is true.
And I think that there will still be kinks in the way it is, because people are people and Nigerians are Nigerians, and there will always be someone that is trying to take advantage of the system.
I think what we've seen through these 3 waves of Nollywood cinema, and these are the broad, because we can go back to the second wave and break it from early 2000s to late 2000s, and we can break it so much. Even
you can break it film by film, year by year.
Because
there is something that will be different every time. Yeah, something that's been improved.
That's what
exactly. Yeah.
And even now, you can still break the movies. You can still break them, by trend, by year, different types. But across these broad categories, what we are seeing though is that form leads to content. Cinema means that the content is more specialized, it's more commercial, it's better,
it's more technically precise.
Yes, it's more because there's obviously a lot of things that come with that form, and that form demands what the content would be, as opposed to video cassettes where everyone could do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's also why YouTube is the way it is, because everyone could do it as well. you can just, there are no barriers putting your movie on YouTube. And as a result, we get the films we get.
For you to remain relevant, you have to change.
This is true.
And I think Nollywood has proven through the 3 waves that we've described that it will always do that. It will always find a way to become better. It will always find a way to entertain.
Today we have
given you a history lesson.
A history of Nollywood. You know, we've gotten like really technical. And, you know, Nollywood is not just watching movies and be like, that was a Nollywood movie. I'm moving on. Nollywood is also engaging with the industry.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way we have explored Nollywood today.
Oh, God. So tune in next time where we have an extra special guest. I think he's an actual film critic. And so it'd be good to see, to hear his views on how he actually views Nollywood. Old Nollywood, which we'll probably go into new Nollywood, old Nollywood, and all of that. And it would be good to get like an actual professional view rather than me just in my bedroom just talking about, I like new Nollywood, I like this and I like this. Bye. Bye, guys. Have a good one. Stay safe.